Hi everyone. I'm excited to be here today to talk to you about some of the miracle stories that are happening right here in our own city, in our own state, every day. My name is Tony Kausha, and the title of our show is Tony's 50,000 Co-incidence Miracles. Please note, this show is not about religion, and we're not trying to change anyone's religion, and we're not trying to get you to join any religion. It's just about miracle stories. I don't know of any religion on the planet that doesn't talk about miracles. That's why religions begin, because they have something that's telling them there's really a God. But we're not going to get into that. We're going to just talk about miracles and leave the decisions about all that up to you. So we don't care what religion you are. We just want to talk about miracles. If you are an atheist, I think you'll enjoy the program as well, although I can't guarantee you'll remain an atheist very long after you hear many convincing stories, coincidence kinds of stories about miracles. You can email me your own stories if you wish. We'll try to use all we can on the show. I can't guarantee we will, depending on volume and time, but you're welcome to send your stories on to us, and we will mention them when we can. You can send them to the following email address. But please notice that if we do use your story, we won't mention your name. We'll keep you anonymous. And we suggest that in your story, when you send it to us, don't use your correct name. That way anyone listening will not be able to figure out that it was you that sent the story in. The email address you can send your stories to is very easy to remember. It consists of 2 words and 3 numbers. The first word is Tony, spelled Tony, and the second word is and, spelled AND, and the numbers are 777. So once again, the name is Tony and 777 at AOL.com. Well, let us begin. Well, here's an amazing coincidence miracle. I had plans made about a week in advance for some things I needed to do on a certain day. And when I got up that morning, planning for that day, I got inspired to cancel my plans and go to the beach and hand out cards. I couldn't believe it because I had discerned and asked, for wisdom on what to do a week earlier, and I had made all these plans, but it was pretty clear that something had happened and I needed to get to the beach today and pass out cards. So I did. I changed my plans. I went to the beach, and the very first person I saw, when I got out of my car, I was walking toward the beach, and there were some people leaving the beach coming towards the parking lot. And I was inspired to hand them cards about our book and our radio show and our website. So I stopped and chatted with them just as they were about to get into the parking lot before I got out to the beach area. And I felt inspired to do that. Well, it was such an amazing event. It was a young woman about 20 years old, and her mother was with her and her aunt was with her. And they had been at the beach that day earlier, and they were leaving. It was about midday. And they asked, they were so curious about the card in the book, they asked a lot of questions. And then I saw the 20-year-old lady had a tear coming down her cheek. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, and her mother and her aunt supported this, she said that for the last couple of months, she's been getting these weird coincidences that I've just described, and she didn't know what to make of it. She thought she was having hallucinations because there was nobody around when they were happening, and she would tell her mother and her aunt about them. But she was very disturbed about it and worried. And what kind of spirit was it? Was this God doing this, or was it some other kind of spirit? And why was this happening to her? And she noticed a lot of coincidences, but she was calling them synchronicity, like synchronized actions. And I was so impressed with all that, because I remember when I was very young and these things were happening to me. It's a very lonely place to be. You do wonder what kind of a spirit is causing these things to happen, and why is it happening to you? Unless you think you're perfect, you don't think God is going to send you miracles out of the blue. So I was able to answer some questions because I'd gone through that in my life as well. But the point I'm trying to make is, something had happened because God intended me to go to this beach. And the beach I go to has 4 locations, so I had to pick one of 4 places to park my car and one of 4 beaches to go out. And I had asked for inspirations on that. And the fact that I met this woman precisely as I was going on the beach and she was leaving, I mean, a 5-minute difference in time, she would have gone already, or I would have been out on the beach already. You see, this was timed to the absolute perfect second, and the young lady at 20 years old, she picked up on that as well. And she's so delighted. They're going to get the book. They're going to go to our website. I spent close to 20 minutes giving them peace and assuring them that God has been doing this to me for many years, and I know it's God. And I told them how I know it's God. And so they have a lot of peace now, and they left joyfully, not sadly. Our next coincidence miracle is from a woman who tells us she was going to the hospital for a blood disorder treatment schedule. I don't know all the days, etc., but she was going in on a regular basis, at different intervals. Could have been twice a week or something like that. And she said on the very last scheduled time for the blood disorder, and she knew that would be the last time, and her blood disorder was cured, that at the conclusion of it, and she was on her way home, she had a heart attack right there in the hospital and got immediate cardiac care and saved her life. So talk about a coincidence miracle. She's in the hospital. She just got well from the blood disorder. She's on her way home, and she has this cardiac problem right there. I know that's all a lot of negative things, but the fact that God allowed all this to happen as a coincidence miracle, and she got excellent help on the spot. She was told that if she wasn't at the hospital, she probably would not have made it, so it must have been a pretty severe heart attack. Our next coincidence miracle is from 2 people who have been dating now for about 2 months. The man had a successful surgery for scoliosis, which is a curvature of the spine kind of problem, and he went through some successful surgery and a lot of prayer, and he believes that prayer, he really got a miracle, and that God directed the doctors, and they did a great job, and he had a great surgery, great results, and his prayer life has increased a lot since that because he trusted God through the whole process. He has met a woman since then, and she has a lot of expenses and some job-related problems and some family-related problems, and he's been convincing her over the last couple of months while they're dating and praying with her, and they've been both praying, and they're so happy both to report that they both are positive based on the things that have happened and the results of their prayers, that God has in fact been answering their prayers, and they just wanted to give us a shout and let us know they're very grateful and thankful to God about prayer does work, and they're trying to encourage other people to make sure when you have needs, be sure to pray for them. Our next coincidence story is from a woman who's 21 years old now, but she had a problem when she was 11 or 12, and she wants to share it with us because she thinks it'll help other people who might have problems at the age of 11 or 12 as well. Turns out that when she was 11 or 12, her family moved into an apartment which was in a building that was a converted warehouse. So it used to be a warehouse, with very large rooms, very high ceilings, and it was converted into apartments. And the place where she slept, she said, was next to this room that was packed with crates and boxes, etc. At least she relates that to us. It might be part of the dream she's telling us, but she slept right next to the entrance to this room, which had been, I guess, used for boxes and things right now as well for some reason. And so when she was sleeping at night, very often, many, many nights, she would have a nightmare. She would have a nightmare about skeletons coming out of that closet area and coming into her sleeping area. And while she was sleeping, she was having nightmares of these skeletons visiting her, and she was terrified about it. Her parents, fortunately, were people of prayer, and so they all turned to prayer and prayed and asked God to help with this thing. And, everybody having problems should pray and ask God for help. I mean, that's an automatic thing. If you believe there's a God and you're having problems, the first thing to do is pray. So they did. And she relates to us that one night while she was having this nightmare, in the midst of the nightmare, a skeleton came out of the closet as normal, but sat on the foot of the bed, at the edge of the bed, very gently, very peacefully, calmly, and sat there for like a moment or two in the dream, and then got up and waved back to her, and went back into the closet. And this particular dream nightmare gave her the assurance and the feeling that the skeleton was not a bad skeleton. It was a skeleton, but not a bad one. And now that she's 21, she realizes that there's an adage, there's a famous quotation that people often use, and you've probably heard it. It goes like this: do you have skeletons in your closet? And she realizes that she had picked that up somewhere when she was 11 or 12, overheard it someplace, and because of that comment, that's why she was having the nightmares. So she's hoping this will help other people. If you're having nightmares, perhaps you have some terminology or some movie you've seen or something you read in a book, and that thing is lingering in your mind because now you're sleeping next to a closet that looks like the closet where skeletons might be sleeping. So I think it's great that she shared it with us because it'll help other people who are having nightmares because of similar reasons, some old adages or quotations or some movies or books, etc. Our next coincidence miracle is from a person who tells us they were reading a book about angels and devils, and they were really getting into it, and they were getting very disturbed about it. Until you get to probably the end of the book, probably you'll have peace. But when you're reading about topics like devils and angels, you wind up getting stressed and worried about what's happening in your own life. But someone had handed him a card about our website and our books in the midst of this period where he was reading that. So he took some time and looked into it, and tells us that it was a great coincidence miracle for him because he sees that our website has a positive aura and a positive message of God being your friend and God always helping you and many coincidence miracles, convincing, etc. And so he just wanted to share with us that he got informed about our book and our website at the right time, and it was a coincidence miracle, and he wanted to just pass it on to us. So I'm very delighted to tell you, and I think it's a chance for me to say again, God wants everybody on the planet to talk to him personally as a personal friend. He made each one of us to be his friend. There's absolutely no doubt about this. And God makes it possible for each one of us to deal with God, talk to him, spend time with him 24 hours a day if you want to. His presence is individualized, so every one of us has a total 100% presence of God with each one of us. And we don't have to wait for an appointment at all. There's 7 billion people on the planet. You don't need to make an appointment with God. He's always right there. And so this is a case of somebody telling us that there's a moment where somebody gave him the card and he senses that God was blessing him exactly at that moment. Our next coincidence miracle is pretty amazing. It happened to me. I was at the beach all day passing out cards to people, and it was late in the day. I was tired. It was time to leave. So I got to my car, and I was looking forward to getting home, getting some rest. I dropped something next to the rear tire, and it went under the car, so I had to reach under there to get it. And then I got into the car to take off, and I heard somebody yelling, "Stop, stop, stop." And it turned out that somebody was on their way leaving at the same time as me, and they saw a turtle underneath my tire, and if I got in the car and pulled out, I was going to crush the turtle. So this is a wonderful coincidence miracle. And the fact that I had dropped something next to the tire means God was trying to clue me in, and I didn't notice the turtle, and now I had somebody yell, "Stop, stop, stop." So it's a triple coincidence miracle. God bless you all. I'll talk to you next week.